going to shock the world here.
I'm calling for an open tryout. If anyone is watching this, I'm calling for an open tryout. I got a year of eligibility left.
Might have some.
Anthony, where is home for you?
Home is Medway,
That's wrong.
Massachusetts.
All right, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to disagree.
While we were in class this morning, I was watching his mixtape, and this guy catches and shoots from anywhere.
Are you ready for some debate? Because Bobcat Breakdown starts right now.
Welcome to another episode of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Thomas Curtis, and alongside me tonight are my two analysts, Brandon Murdoch and Brianna Trachtenberg. How are we feeling tonight, guys?
Oh, I'm super excited. It's my favorite part of Tuesday nights, and I'm excited to go against the president tonight.
I'm super excited, Brandon. I am very excited to go and take you down in tonight's debate.
Let's get right into tonight's debate. In both of the volleyball teams' two games this weekend, they were up after one set, but went on to lose both matches 3-2. The team ended non-conference play with a 3-9 record. How confident are you guys going into MAC play? Brandon, what's your confidence level?
Honestly, I'm very confident in this team. 2023, 4-5 record entering MAC play, went to the MAC championship. 2022, a worse record, 1-6 record entering MAC play, won the MAC championship. 3-9 right now, obviously not great, but they have shown as a team that they can come back from these slow starts and navigate their way to a long playoff run. And of course, they still have Kyle Robinson. He's in his sixth season with the team. This isn't his first rodeo. He knows how to get this team to buckle down and really lock in for conference play and really overlook those slow non-conference starts that they've been accustomed to over the last few years. So if anybody can get them going and get them ready for the conference, Kyle Robinson. And there's also just so much talent on this team with Elena Giacomini and then the Ganesh twins. This team is good.
Brandon, I do agree with you. I think everyone needs to take a deep breath for a second and realize that there is no need to hit the panic button yet, right? Like they just started they're just finishing non-conference. They're just starting to go into conference play. Look, they always struggle in non-conference play. That's the point. They're playing harder teams. They're getting themselves ready to play conference. They're figuring out what works, what doesn't work. There's a lot of testing that's going on. It's like saying when the Patriots go 1-2 in the preseason. I'm not panicking yet, right? They're trying to figure out the starting quarterback. The Quinnipiac volleyball team is trying to figure out who they're going to be starting, who's going to be playing for every game. But I'm not worried yet. I will say though that their biggest challenge this season is that without Ginevra Giovanni and without Ariana Diaz, it's going to be a struggle for them to try to build get those wins and fill those holes on the teams and repeat the success that they've had the last two seasons.
Yeah, well, obviously losing those two players is going to make a hard adjustment coming into this season. But this team has shown, if you have a lack of confidence in this team coming back from the slow starts, you haven't been watching the team over the last few years.
No, I agree, and I think that like you said, right, in the past, last season, the team went 3-8 during non-conference, and then the team went on a seven game. They went on a winning streak right away. And they had no problem in conference play. So I honestly think that they're going to be fine. They made it all the way last year to the MAC championship. They lost against Fairfield, but I really think Fairfield's going to end up being their biggest competition during conference play, but I'm not worried about them at all.
Yeah, certainly not. This team is, I think it's more than loaded enough to go on a deep run.
Sticking with the volleyball team, graduate transfer Elena Giacomini has dominated non-conference play for the Bobcats. Will she be an all-MAC first teamer? Brianna, what do you think?
Thomas, I don't think she's going to be. I think that, yes, she has the talent and she could maybe get there on her own, but I think that Damla and Yagmir Ganesh, they just have a better connection with each other. As twins, Damla knows how to set up Yagmir. She doesn't. Elena Giacomini, she doesn't have that same connection that she does. She's a newer member on the team. This is her first season, so she just doesn't have the chemistry that she needs in order to get the better sets and then able to get more kills in order to get her on that MAC team, on that first all-MAC team.
While she is newer to the team, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one. She is obviously not a veteran here, doesn't have the accolades, but she's an absolutely fantastic player. She leads the team in total kills, 176, service areas, 17, and top 5 in both digs and assists for the Quinnipiac Bobcats, as well as leading the team in blocks with 27. And she also leads the MAC in most statistical categories: spikes, kills, service aces, block solos, blocks assists, and total points, but which is by a large margin, 17. She's had her impact on the court clearly, is she's putting up numbers and doing everything she can to help this team win. And there's been several games where she's really willed them across the finish line. She's been the best player on the court for this team. I think it's hard for her not to make that first team All-MAC. And with her sister, Ginevra, who was picked as the preseason MAC Player of the Year, who, while she's been out, Atlanta has had no problem carrying the load for the Bobcats.
See, but what's going to happen when they start playing those Wednesday games and then those Saturday, Sunday games too, back to back? They're going to be getting tired, and it's going to be up to like what they know best. What are they going to be able to do that they know that is going to work? And it's going to be Yami and Damla being able to work with each other, and the rest of the team being able to work with each other, and not really knowing how Elena is and how Jacqueline is able to work, and not having that chemistry. It all just goes back to that for them. And that's why I think, like you said, she has a lot of talent, and she's going to have a great season. I don't think she's going to make it to the first team.
With volleyball's home opener on Saturday at 1 p.m., QBSN broadcasters Brittany Brown-Lieben and Eli Ehlers are live outside Burt Concourt to break down what to expect this weekend.
Thanks, Thomas. I'm Brittany Brown-Lieben, joined alongside Eli Ehlers, and we're going to be previewing the MAC volleyball season opener at home on Saturday. But before we get into that, Eli, how did the volleyball non-conference matchups kind of prepare them for the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, Quinnipiac went 3-9 in the non-conference play, so, not the record that you want to see, but as I talked about with Coach Kyle Robinson when I was down in Virginia at the Georgia Mason Invitational, he was saying that, yes, you want to see them winning, but more during the non-conference play, you want to see the matchups that you're going to get. You want to see what lineup sets you want. You want to see, how your team battles in those tough games against stronger opponents that you may not see in MAC play. So I think for them it was, yes, you didn't win as many games as you'd hoped to, but it was a rewarding experience because they got better, they grew as a team, and, Kyle knows more about what he wants from his team this year and where they're going to target their strengths.
Obviously, new season, we're seeing a new team. How is this going to help them in their first MAC opener against playing Ryder?
Yeah, I mean, I think not as much roster turnover as most teams. They really only lose Ariana Diaz and Lexi Morse as the graduates. So I think, yes, they're not a brand new team, but I think it's definitely different. Ariana Diaz was a part of the 1,000 Kill Club. You lose her. Who steps in? It's going to be Elena Giacomini. She's the grad transfer from Italy, and she has really stepped up. She's played really strong. She has over 100 kills on the year so far, just from those 10 non-conference games. So I think she's been really important for this team, and I think she's going to be a huge part of the team's success in the MAC.
This is the first time the volleyball team will be playing home this season in the MAC season openers against Ryder and St. Peter's this weekend. How do you think this will affect the team being home again?
Yeah, I mean, I think they love BurtCon. BurtCon is their home. They've talked about it in press conferences last year. BurtCon's where they want to be. So I think being home, having the fans around them, being able to sleep in their own beds the night before the game, have that rest aspect to be able to come in and dominate on their home court will be very important.
He's been Eli Ehlers. I'm Brittany Brown-Lieben. This was the QBSN MAC volleyball preview from this weekend.
Switching to the pitch, the women's soccer team has not allowed a goal in the month of September. The 2023 Bobcats feature the Tri-Defensive Players of the Year. Brandon, is this team's back line better than last year's?
I'm going to give a really boring answer. It's too early to tell. So I'm going to go with no for the moment just because of that. This line is fantastic. As you mentioned, not giving up a goal in the last 4 games. And I think Madison Alves' move to center back has really been great for this team after losing Kayla Mangachos the year before. But it's still too early to tell. We've only, 2 games in the MAC play. But last year's team had 3 Players of the Year finalists, like you mentioned, and the Golden Gloves winner. They had 7 regular season shutouts and 2 more in the MAC tournament, including over powerhouse Fairfield. Well, this team is currently on pace to surpass those shutout numbers, but we can't forget that they could not keep the ball out of their net in the beginning of the season. Over the first 3 games, they gave up 7 goals. But at the end of the year, this team's backline could surpass last year's, but at the moment, I think last year's is still superior.
So, Brandon, you said that they had let up 7 goals. Like, they gave up more goals. They gave up a bunch of goals at the beginning. Well, last year, up until this point, last year's backline gave up 9 goals to this point. September 23rd was their game. So I think that this year's backline is better than last year's. Yes, they had all the recognition that they had last year, but this year's backline has been playing better than they were, like you said, they're looking already to surpass their numbers. I think that you just give them time, and they're going to get the recognition that they deserve, and give them until the end of the season that they will get those awards and they will get nominated, but they just haven't had that chance to get nominated yet, but they're already proving why they should be.
Yeah, certainly. It is full of talent, and I don't want to say this team can't be better, because they certainly have the ability to, and over the last 4 games, they've really shown that they can lock down on defense and make lives hell for opposing offenses. But I just gotta see it. I gotta see more. I gotta see them do it in the MAC tournament. Go get 2 1-0 wins in the MAC. That is great defense, and it's, especially against the powerhouses. They did it against Ryder and Fairfield. I just gotta see it from this team.
I mean, I get it, right? But this year's Backline, they've gone 4-2-1 already. This team has gone 4-2-1. They've had a 4-game shutout and on a 4-game win streak. That's where they are. Last year's Backline at this point, they were 4-3 and they had 4 shutouts. They are already on the same page and on the same level that last year's Backline was. They've already proven that they can do. Like, yes, you can say, oh, we need to wait for MAC play, but they're already showing that they don't have to wait. And we know that in non-conference play, they tend to take on harder teams. And during the conference play, it's going to probably be some easier games for them. So they've proven that they can take on the harder teams and still have the same level and, if not, better success than they did last year's Backline.
We need some water here at the desk, so we're going to take our first commercial break of the night. Stick with us, though, because Q30 Fall beat reporters will be here giving their hot takes after this short break.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I was depressed in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Can't believe you're doing this alone.
I've done it before.
I remember. You threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for a new segment called Hot Takes. We're bringing in a beat reporter from each fall team to give their hot take of the season. And once they give their take, Brianna and Brandon will discuss whether or not they agree with the statement. Let's start with field hockey. Patrick Walsh is in the studio. Pat, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. My hot take is I think Francisca Escoyes will lead the Big East in goals by the end of the season. What do you guys think, hot or cold?
I think it's like a lukewarm take. I think that there is a definite possibility that she could lead it. I mean, she's number 5 right now, but she's also tied with the top 4. So I could definitely see a world where she's leading it. What do you think, Brand?
I'm going to have to go with cold on this one. Even though she's been fantastic to start the year, her scoring output for being a defenseman is almost unreal. But I just have a hard time believing a first year and being a defenseman, she can really keep this up for the rest of the season, especially with all the competition in the Big East.
I think that the one thing that can keep her back is how her team's performing around her. She can only do so much by herself, so if they're not getting her the assists and giving her the opportunities to score, then that could kind of keep her scoring back, so then she might not end up leading the Big East.
Now to volleyball, Ashley Pottman. What's on your mind about this volleyball team?
Thanks, guys. Now, despite losing Ginevra Jovagnoni and only having a 27% winning record this season, the team is going to win the MAC title. What do you guys think?
I'm going to have to agree with that. It's going to be hard, but conference championship run is nothing. It's not really a foreign subject to Kyle Robinson, especially over the last 2 years. Also, Elena Giacomini has been playing so well this year. I think I have a hard time believing that this team can't go on another run.
I think it's a little bit of a hot take. I think that they might make it to the MAC championship, but I don't think that they're going to win it. I just don't think that they have the star power to do it this year. Losing her and then also not having Ariana Diaz this year, I think, like I said before, it's just too big of a hole for them to make up in this time, and I don't see them winning the MAC championship.
Yeah.
For men's soccer, Beckett Calkins is here to talk about a star first year. Beckett, what's your hot take?
Yeah, guys, I think Benjamin Tella is going to develop into a future cornerstone of the Quinnipiac men's soccer program. He's a guy who's flashed every time he's been given an opportunity on the pitch so far this year. What are your thoughts, Brianna?
Becca, I'm gonna have to say that I do agree with you. I think that he's one of the 6 players that has scored so far this year. It seems to be that every time he gets the ball, he's doing the best to take advantage of the opportunity, and I could just see him in a year from now becoming like the center of the men's soccer team.
So now I'm going to have to disagree with both you and Beckett. I'm going to have to go with William Holm. He has been better statistically and has been given more trust from Eric DaCosta as he has started all 6 games this season. Plus, this being a first year, I think it sets something up nicely to be that foundational component for this team.
Now we go to Brady Mullen to talk about the women's soccer team.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. My hot take is Victoria Foster does not get enough of the spotlight for the women's soccer team, yet will lead her team to another MAC title. Is that a Florida take or an Alaska take?
I'm going to have to disagree with that one. I think Rachel Roma has really been the most underrated player on this team. Even though Victoria Foster has been fantastic on that back line, Rachel Roma has been forced to take over that role from Olivia Scott from a year ago, and that's nothing easy for them to do, especially that the midfield for this team has been so dominant. I think Rachel Roma has really hasn't been talked about as much as she should be.
But I'm going to have to disagree with you. And Brady, I'm going to say that it was probably maybe an Alaska take. I think that, yes, she does not get enough recognition for all of the work she does. She's experienced that this relatively young defense needs. She's been on the team before it, and she doesn't let her emotions affect how she plays. She's a nice, consistent defensive player. And when it all comes down to it, defense wins championships. You can score all day long, but you need a good defense in order to win the championship.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. They've held their hat on defense the last few years, but their midfield has been so good. Rachel Roma has really been the newest member, or one of the newer members in that midfield. She's been really just been an integral part of how successful that midfield has been.
And for our last hot take of the night, Spencer Decker has a bold postseason prediction for the rugby team.
I sure do. The women's rugby team will win the 2024 NCAA National Championship, taking down to Dartmouth Big Green. Cat's story is back and better than ever. And they got a big win over Navy. Harvard, they drew against last year, a 55-14 loss. Things are looking real good right now, guys. Is it hot or cold?
Spencer, I agree with you. Yes, you might call me crazy, but they are definitely going to win. They're going to beat Dartmouth, and they're going to win the championship this year. You know what? Guess when the last time that they beat Harvard was?
When was the last time?
It was back in 2013. Since then, they've lost every game against them. And just a couple weeks ago, they tied against Harvard for the first time. And not only do they have Kat Stoyer this year, but they also have a first year named Layla Cox, who has scored 3 tries this year, and so has Kat Stoyer. So she has the support. I honestly think that this might be one of their most complete teams they've had since they won their last championship in 2017.
I'm going to have to fully agree with both of you guys. The team has definitely defied the odds to start the season, obviously we talked about tying both Brown and defending national team champions Harvard, who's never an easy game to go against, and also destroying Navy this past weekend. I think this team is really destined to go on a deep run.
Thomas, what do you think about it?
No, I agree. I mean, I don't watch a lot of rugby. I haven't in the past, but I've seen a couple of games, and I think they're going to go all the way.
Definitely. I agree with you, Thomas. Great answer.
Thank you to all of our beat reporters for stirring up the conversation about each of these fall teams. We now head to another break. Stay right here for more rugby debate on the other side.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
As a dad, every day is a challenge. To make sure that the time that I have, I spend with them. It doesn't matter how tired you are, you have to try and to teach them. When they learn something new, and you can just see in their faces, it's such an incredible moment. It's those moments that are my favorite.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. If you're just joining us, this is Brandon Murdoch, this is Brianna Trachtenberg, and I'm Thomas Curtis. Rugby collected their first win after starting the year with 2 ties. They beat Navy 38-3. This comes 2 weeks after tying Harvard, who's the defending NIRA national champions. Is it safe to say rugby has been Quinnipiac's best fall sports team? Brianna, you were a rugby beat reporter last year, so let's start with you.
Thanks, Thomas. I know what I'm going to say. Brandon, I think I know what you're going to say, so I actually want you to go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna have to go women's soccer for this one. I went to the NCAA tournament the last 2 seasons, dominating the competition, but by the way. They've completely dominated the MAC preseason and postseason awards over the last 2 years. Hasn't even been close. And they haven't even lost a conference game since October 15th, 2022. And what has rugby done? They haven't won a postseason game since 2018.
Brandon, are we talking about this season or last season? Because if it's last season, I will say that the rugby team has 3 national championships. What other team on this campus has 3 national championships? I see you're speechless, so you don't know, right? Because no one else does. But if we're gonna bring it back to this season, right? Rugby has not lost a game yet, and they have played every single game on the road, which is tough to do. You know what women's soccer has done on the road so far? They've lost every game on the road. So yeah, And you know what? And not only have they played every single game on the road, they tied the reigning national champions, Harvard, who we just went over that they have not lost since 2013, and they just had a dominating 38-3 win against Navy.
Yeah, I mean that win against Navy was awesome. It was fantastic. But are we celebrating ties now? Like, what are we doing?
But hey, at least, but you know what? Harvard and Dartmouth are the 2 toughest teams in the conference. So it's tough to go ahead and beat to Harvard, right? They haven't beaten them since 2013. So the fact that they even tied them was impressive. And they tied their first game, but I will say this, right? Women's soccer, they have the non-conference games. That's their time to get ready. Rugby just jumps right into it. They don't have any non-conference games to get ready. So as soon as they start playing, that's when every game counts. So yes, you tied your first couple games, but it's okay because you're still playing well and you're still playing up to the par that you need to be playing in order to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, but the Bobcats, they just come in, they just win. They've been winning. That's all they've done. There hasn't
The
been.
rugby team hasn't lost a game yet. So
Again with the ties.
Women's soccer's lost a game. I'm just saying, rugby has not lost a single game yet this championship. This season.
3 games this season so far. So obviously a smaller sample to work with there. But
how? And like I said, they've played every single game on the road. They haven't even come home yet to this season. So they're not even having the first home game until Sunday against Penn State. So the fact that they've even done this on the road, and it's hard to play on the road, that's impressive in its own way, that they've kept up this momentum this entire time, and that they didn't let those first couple of ties tear them down. They went out and still got a 38-3 win against Navy.
All right. As seasons change, so do the sports. Women's hockey opened up their season with an exhibition game versus UConn. 5th-year graduate student Maddy Samoskevich played center for the first time in her collegiate career. Can we expect this to continue into the regular season? Brendan, we'll start with you.
I don't think it's going to continue into the regular season. I think she's a graduate player playing in a preseason game. She's been a staple of the blue line over the last 4 years. I think Cass Turners know what she has in Samoskevich. She knows what she has in one of her top players on the team. There's 14 newcomers on this team, including 3 first-year defensemen. So I really am not surprised that Turner might have been trying to move some players around and really see what she has in this exhibition game. This is the only exhibition game they're going to have this whole season, and I think why not move some pieces around, see what you got. And when the season starts on Friday, I fully expect Samoskevich to be on the blue line.
So Brandon, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I do think that she might end up staying at center only because that they have a lot better of an offensive line right now than they do a defense. And they need help. They need a lot of help with that. They need someone like Maddy Samoskevich, who is a leader and can play well offensively. I think that she's going to help kind of fill that hole instead in play. And yes, like, they could put her back on the defense, but I think that she's going to help get them some points on the offense.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that she could definitely do some damage on offense, score some goals. But I think this is such a young team. I think you really need that back line to really, the blue line really to be older, more experienced, really guide those younger players.
Now it's time we take our final break of the night, but don't go anywhere because when we get back, we'll be giving our final roars.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused. A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out the self-doubt and to support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Owen, when you came into my life, it was a whirlwind.
I just can't do it.
We didn't know what the future would hold, but we knew you would always be a part of it. Adopting you was the best decision in our life. And I am so proud to call you my son.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for our final roars of the night. I'll start it off. Many see game day pictures, highlight reels, and Instagram posts from Division I athletes. It leads people to believe that playing a sport in college is filled with excitement and glamour. What they fail to see is the work these college athletes put in. These players are on the go non-stop in the off-season, during the week, and before games to prepare for battle, game in and game out. They're spending every waking moment being a student or focusing on their sport, whether that be practicing, watching film, getting treatment to be able to compete, or having team meetings. Ask any student athlete you know on campus or in your personal life. They'll tell you how tired they are, how much work they have to do, or how they just need a break. They're trying their best and are doing an extremely good job at it. So as fall sports enter conference play and winter sports start their preseason up, let's give all student athletes a moment of grace before being negative about their performance in one game while they try to balance their sport and having a successful life outside of it.
As fall sports is ending non-conference play and beginning to transition into the conference schedule, I want to discuss managing expectations. It can be hard to handle expectations, whether or not you are the star player of a team, if your team is the conference preseason favorite, or if you are a student expected to know what the next stage of your life will be. No matter what the situation is, it can be tough to maneuver around when people set the bar high for you. While it can be stressful, there's always someone there for you and willing to help. However, you should not let the stress of these expectations bring you down. Instead, you should look to embrace it as people see something in you that maybe you don't even see in yourself. So take those expectations and turn them into something positive. Use it as motivation to work harder and become a better version of yourself.
How do you become a good journalist? While yes, the work you produce and the stories you find are important, it's only a part of the picture. It's how you treat the people around you that will make the difference in your career. Nobody wants to work with somebody who is rude or disrespectful towards them. When it comes time to find a job, the connections you make with people is what will be the final push to get you in. How you treat people on an everyday basis is how you will be remembered. Even the way you treat the players and coaches that you interview will determine the kinds of stories you get to produce. Having that close relationship is how you will be able to tell more personal and deeper stories. They are more likely to talk if they feel like they can trust you. Showing them respect is how you build the relationship. Working in the media world, especially in sports media, it can be stressful. But it's during those high-pressure moments that it matters the most about how you treat the people around you. Everyone will respect someone that can soar when the stakes are raised. As someone who has held a leadership position in student media over the past couple of years, there have been plenty of situations that have been stressful. These are the times that I have learned the most about what it takes to be a leader. I've learned how to keep my cool and do my best not to take anything out on the people around me. Student media is the time to practice the skill and show that you can handle it, because in the real world, there might not be a second chance to show your respect.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have tonight on Bobcat Breakdown. Thanks for hanging with us on this Tuesday night. Make sure to go follow us on social media at Q30TV and check out the website at Q30TV.com. From the producers and everyone behind the scenes, he's Brandon Murdoch, that's Brianna Trachtenberg, and I'm Thomas Curtis. From Q30TV, we'll see you next week.